Chapter 1. 3 Disconnects. During my 20-odd years of creating and running businesses, I've talked and worked with hundreds and hundreds of other business owners who, like me, were trying to work successfully with big buyers. Whether the buyer in question was a big company, something to do with government, a state-owned enterprise or whatever, I kept seeing the same problems come up time and time again. Then, when I started out on my latest business venture, Small Company, Big Business, I interviewed and surveyed many small business owners to try and find out the problems and hurdles they had when trying to win contracts with these sorts of buyers. Again, the same themes emerged, and I found that I could group them all into 3 categories. 1. Complexity. Big companies and government have a whole raft of prerequisites that must be put in place before they will deal with you, and they can change all the time. Sometimes they seem to not even know what they want themselves. In this confusing environment, it is very hard for the small business owner to figure out exactly what is required of them. 2. Cost and time. Implementing all the prerequisites and making the necessary changes to your business is a time-consuming and costly exercise, and then you have to keep everything up to date. All this requires a considerable amount of dollars, time, and energy. For some, it's all just too much and they walk away. For those who accept the challenge, putting it all in place can take years, and a lot of time and money can be wasted trying different solutions. 3. Getting on the radar. Most small businesses struggle to get on the radar of large corporations and get a foot in the door. In fact, from my own research, some 70% of business owners say this is their number one hurdle in winning contracts with large buyers, who seem to exist behind an impenetrable iron curtain. Then, when I made the decision to write this book, I began to look for research that was already out there and what had already been written about how small businesses could successfully become suppliers to big organizations. What I very quickly found was that there was a considerable amount of research on the topic, but it was almost exclusively written from the big company's point of view. There is a wide variety of literature, everything from short blog posts to scholarly academic articles to entire books on how big companies can successfully engage with small companies. Much of it is written with the background of how the bigger company can fulfill its corporate social responsibility, CSR, or local content obligations. What I found interesting, though, was that the same 3 themes emerged again, only this time from the big company point of view. From the big company or government point of view, their problems are: 1. Small companies just don't understand how supply chains work. They don't understand the concept of risk and why big companies vet their suppliers thoroughly before committing to buy from them. 2. Small businesses don't have good enough systems that will allow them to reliably deliver a consistent quality product. 3. Big businesses and government have strict procurement procedures and protocols and can be restricted in who and what kind of businesses they can purchase from. Often, they will grant just a few large contracts to a few large suppliers and allow them to take on the task of recruiting smaller specialist suppliers. After much thought, I eventually captured all this in my 3 disconnects diagram. Trying to bridge the disconnect gap between the 2 parties became the purpose of the Small Company, Big Business program. The program has changed and evolved since my first research was conducted, but the basic premise of 2 parties looking at the same problem in different ways remains. As a result of these disconnects, B2B, business-to-business commerce, is too often limited to big business to big business. That is what I want to challenge by writing this book.